Hey, it's Art from My New Microphone. In today's video, I want to help you improve your vocal production by teaching you how to set up and use vocal effects throws. These will help us add a little bit of sonic interest throughout the mix, especially on our vocals. So with that, let's hop right into the digital audio workstation and get started. All right, here we are inside of Logic Pro to demonstrate a few vocal throws and how we can use them in our vocal production. Now, in this particular session, we will be working on the song What It Isn't by a local band to me, Lindsay Meisner and the Seventh Mystic. This is an album that I mixed almost a year ago, I'd say. It just recently came out, and so I will leave links to it in the description box down below if you're interested in checking it out. And what we have here is vocal throws right here that you can see I am muting and unmuting send to bus 24. And bus 24, if we go over here, is this echo boy right here. If we open that up, it is a single echo quarter note with a bit of feedback right here, actually a significant amount of feedback. And what I did here was I just wanted a little bit of a bridge between the last line of the verse and the little bit of dead air, so to speak, where there's no vocal before the chorus coming in. So before we go any further discussing vocal throws, let's just have a listen to each of these sections where I throw the vocal to the delay so that we can get a better sense of what a vocal throw is.
And is it bad that I'm still holding on?
Now I'll bring this up in level from negative 11.4. Let's just bring it up to unity.
Hey, taught me truth, though what it isn't, don't be sick.
And finally.
And is it bad that I'm still holding on? Taught me truth, though.
And so that throw there sends the vocal for a short period. In this case, it is a few syllables, and then in the other ones, it is much less than that. A few syllables here, and just the hey going into the second chorus. But what it does is it sends just that little bit of the lead vocal to this delay processor. This is the effects return, and then that delays just that section, and then it will slowly fade out as the feedback drops lower and lower until we get back into the chorus right here. So I actually mix this relatively low in the mix, but it's a great way to add a little bit of subtle energy without really drawing too much attention to itself as we get into the chorus. So maybe I'll bring it up to maybe -7 rather than that -11. So that is the basis of what an effects throw is. In this case, I sent it to a delay. And again, this is to kind of fill in the air between the last line of the verse, getting us into the chorus. And the way I did this, again, is I effectively have this send on the lead vocal muted, and then I unmute it for this section right here. And then that effectively sends it just for this period to this effects return over here, the vocal throw. So let's create a track right here for the vocal throw and see what else we could do with a vocal throw right here. So the reason it's called a vocal throw is that it is a throw. It's not always on. It is periodically turned on and off to send it to an effects return before being turned off once again. So in this case, I am using, again, the delay, but I could really use anything I wanted, and I could affect this delay in any way that I wanted because it is on an independent effects return right here, hence the name effects throw. So for example, if I wanted 8th notes or 16th notes with a lot of feedback, we could have something like this.
Hey, taught me truth, though what it isn't, though.
But I don't necessarily need that. Let's turn this feedback down so that we are not self-oscillating. I could also have it being sent to, say, a reverb. Let's choose, for example, the Sound Toys plate, the little plate. And what I could do is send it to a plate so it's relatively dry, and then just for this vocal right here, this hey, I will be sending it to the little plate. So let's have a listen to that.
We both know that I'm just silly. Hey, taught me truth, though.
So just for that syllable, it is drowned in reverb, and the rest of the tracks right here can be perfectly dry. Now, we don't only need to do this with time-based effects. We can also add some distortion, let's say, or some saturation with the Saturn II, so that we can parallel process this throw with some saturation, with or without these time-based effects. So for example, right here, we could just, for this instance, have some parallel saturation going on.
Hey.
That obviously brings up the level quite significantly because we're effectively adding signal. So typically effects throws and vocal throws will be used with time-based effects like delay and reverb, but I'm just saying that you could use them with parallel processing like parallel compression, parallel saturation, and the like. Now, in addition to this, we can also opt to automate things within our vocal throws. So for example, we could choose to automate, let's say, the echo time right here. So let's change this to milliseconds so that we get a smoother transition, and play this back, and maybe we'll want to pitch the vocal up as we make the echo time shorter and shorter. So something like this maybe.
Silly. Hey.
That was a bit fast, but you get the point.
Hey.
We drew this out a little bit longer, maybe something like this.
Hey.
Or even longer.
Hey. Taught me true.
And in this case, maybe we want the feedback up a little bit, and we want that to really go all the way to the chorus and then get cut off. So maybe we could automate the volume up and then have it drop off right at the chorus right here. These are just options that we have. We can get very creative. We can go as simple or as complicated as we want with our vocal throws.
Hey. Taught me truth, though what it isn't, don't be stick around. Oh.
We could do delay and reverb in this case.
Hey. Taught me truth, though.
And whatever we want to include and whatever we want to automate on this effects return, the world is our oyster. And so that is the primary way we can go about using effects throws on our vocals. And then the second way is to actually mute and unmute the effects return itself. So if I was to set things up in a way where this is always on, let's just do it for this section. What I could do, I'll actually create a new bus for this. We'll go bus 32 and go over here and create that track. So we'll label this Vox Throw 2. This is an alternate way. It's not technically the proper way to do effects throws, but we can do things this way where we are effectively, let's mute this vocal throw, sending permanently from the vocal in this case to the effects return, and then the effects return itself we can automate to be muted and unmuted. So in here we can go to main mute, and then again, just in this syllable right here, we can go down to vocal throw 2 and automate its mute so that it is unmuted for this section, and then we can mute it again for the chorus. Now, there's a big difference here. Let's say we put on our delay. I'll just copy over the Echo Boy. And for this instance, let's go back to our quarter note with a decent amount of feedback. Now, in this case, what is happening is the signal is being sent to this throughout the entirety of the vocal performance right here. And so when this is unmuted, it's actually going to be delaying everything that came prior to this. So it's not truly an effects throw. It is an alternate way of getting a similar effect, but it is different. I need to note that. So when this gets unmuted, it's going to be delaying everything that came previous to this hey right here, in addition to the hey, because again, it is being fed everything from the lead vocal and it's just being unmuted here. So we can have a listen to that in the context of the mix.
We both know that I'm just silly. Hey.
So So you heard there that there was a significant portion of the signal being delayed in addition to that hey syllable right there. So that's an alternate way of doing some throws right there, even though it's not technically correct for vocal throws. So let's mute that, or actually get rid of this entirely. And so once again, in the context of this mix, I really only used the vocal throws for these last sections of the verse going into the chorus. Let me push this back. But you could use this a lot throughout the different parts of the mix. In this case, it is an R&B song, and so using too many effects can sound a little bit uncanny. In this case, I thought that that vocal throw, even though it's very subtle, I had it mixed, I believe, down toward -12, does help just add a little bit of energy into the chorus. In addition to that, I also brought the guitars up a little bit. If we go to the volume, so the guitar is up a little bit going into the verse. So I'm helping other instruments kind of fill the space of the vocal before the chorus. But that vocal throw, in the case of something a bit more natural, like an R&B mix in this case, was a good idea for vocal production, in my opinion. And so that's why I did it in this mix. If we're working on electronic music or pop music, or especially hip hop, we can get away with a lot more vocal throws and sending to a lot more different effects, like ping pong delays, reverse reverbs, tape stops or tape starts, pitch shifting, and the like, to really hone in on our vocal production and get a mix that keeps the listener's attention throughout the entirety of the song. So I hope that I kept that short and sweet while also being very informative here in Logic Pro. Let's hop out now. All right, I hope that you see and hear the power of effects throws and how they can be used in our mixes and our vocal production. If you'd like to learn more about mixing, I do have a free mixing guidebook. It will be the first link in the description box down below. You can sign up to my newsletter and I will send that to you right away. It goes through the entire workflow of the mix to help you make the right decisions at the right times to improve your mixes and your mix consistency. If you'd like to spend more time with me here on YouTube, I would encourage you to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button to check out one of these videos in the top left or top right corner. So do all of that, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.